Prepare to march into the heart of one of history's most tumultuous eras, China's spring and autumn period. From 770 to 476 BC, the Eastern Zhou dynasty witnessed a fractured realm, where many feudal states clashed for dominance. In this age of relentless warfare and shifting alliances, power was seized by the strong, and survival belonged to the cunning. This is the story of an unforgiving battlefield, where rulers and warriors reshaped the land with blood and steel, and where the unyielding spirit of survival forged philosophies that would echo through eternity. Step into the chaos and witness the rise of legends who dared to carve their names into history as we play Spring and Autumn, the story of China.
The year is 771 BC, an era of sweeping change and turbulent ambition. You are Lord Jiao Yuhan, the formidable ruler of the Chu hegemony, whose wisdom cuts as sharply as the blades of your armies. With a profound conviction in your destiny, you cast aside convention and boldly proclaim yourself emperor, wielding the ancient doctrine of the mandate of heaven as the divine seal upon your claim. Your audacious declaration rumbles through the land like thunder, igniting an era of upheaval. The rival factions of Qin, Jin, Qi, and Wu rise in defiance, each maneuvering with cunning and might to assert their own claim to supremacy. Allies are fleeting, betrayals abound, and the balance of power teeters on the edge of a knife. The battle for China begins, a ruthless contest of ambition, where only the one who dares the impossible will emerge as the rightful emperor of all under heaven. Your wisdom has allowed you to formulate 5 objectives. These will form your strategy for obtaining the imperial throne. Your enemies have also prepared their strategies, which may follow or diverge from your own. You must embrace the great philosophies of the day and use them to your advantage. In the end, only one man will rule China, and it will take a mastery of spiritual, economic, scientific, and military skill to become the next emperor of China. The time has come to shape history. You ascend to your throne in the grand palace of Ying, the pulsating heart of Chu, a city destined to be the cradle of your ambition. From these hallowed halls, you dare to dream the impossible, to unite the fractured lands under a single banner and carve your legacy as the first emperor of China. Yet, the path to ultimate power is treacherous, for the horizon is lit with the fires of ambition from your rivals. In the north, Duke Xiang of Qi commands his domain from the thriving city of Linzi, a fortress of prosperity and strength. His gaze is fixed on fortifying alliances and amassing military might, determined to keep his rivals at bay. To the west, in the rugged capital of Yong, Duke Xiang of Qin stands resolute. His ambition burns as fiercely as the desert sun, as he seeks to consolidate power and weave defenses impenetrable to invaders. In Jin, the venerable Marquis Wen governs from the capital city of Jiang, steadfastly maintaining stability while fortifying his state's foundations. His strategy is measured, but the resolve behind it is unyielding. And to the southeast, the Council of Wu gathers in Meili, a city teeming with intrigue and ambition. They plot to expand their dominion and challenge your rising tide, seeking to break Chu's looming shadow. 5 factions, 1 throne. The battle for supremacy promises glory, betrayal, and conquest, with you at the heart of the storm. Will you rise above the chaos, or become a mere note in the symphony of history? The choice is yours.
Hello everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome to my channel. Tonight we're going to be revisiting Spring and Autumn, the story of China. This time I've got some painted models and that's going to help to brighten up the game a bit. As you saw from the prologue, we'll be playing the Chu faction. That'll be the white pieces. Now what I've done is I've painted all of the building models. Those have been painted. I was surprised to learn that the military models came with prefabricated colored bases. The plastic color of the base indicates the faction, so I didn't need to paint those. I might end up doing that in the future. I don't know. It would be quite a bit of effort. And the models do look nice the way they are, even in the raw gray, so not too bad. I did the best I could on the building models, but with eyesight going and not as steady of a hand as I used to. This is the best I could do. So the lesson is, if you're thinking about painting any of the models for your board games, do it while you are young and don't procrastinate. I'm happy I did the painting that I did for games like Shadows of Brimstone and Touch of Evil and those type of games. I probably wouldn't be able to have done that right now, so I'm pretty happy that I did that. But I would encourage you, if you're thinking about painting, do it while you still have good eyesight and a steady hand. Now what I've done is I scanned the top portions of each of the player cards and I put them into a random order, and that will be players 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I've done this to kind of save space. All we need for the AI players is these 2 tracks on each of the displays. So I've laid out their treaty cards opposite them, and we've placed their cubes out there and given them their starting honor tokens. And I've also created a few trays just out of paper by cutting them out and folding them, and that will be nice to put the cards on for that faction. It'll make it a lot easier to film and for me to see them as well. Now for the Chu faction, our starting private objectives will include Warmonger, Scholarship, Elitist, Cultured, and Frontier. We randomly selected our philosophy, and that is discipline. Retreat before combat without dishonor. We begin the game with 1 infantry and 1 junk. We've got our palace, and we've got our starting 3 buildings. We have an academy, a shrine, and a market. The starting public objective will be potential. Have more empty settlements and mines than every other player individually. And our starting 4 philosophies will be harmony, control the tide, cosmic accord, and astrological circle. The AI's private objectives will be educated, cultured, mercantile, frontier, militarist, builder, warmonger, and seafarer. Now for this playthrough, I'm not going to be showing all of the dice rolls. If the AI players move, I'll show you the movement. And when the AI players have their production round, I'll show you the extent of their production. But we'll basically be focusing on the human faction, and that's Chu. Now just to be clear, the AI player will win the game the same way that a human player will win. We have to have at least 3 public objectives solved, and then we will add up all of the private objectives that we qualify for, and the person with the most total objectives at that time will win. So the end of game scenario sequence will be issued when someone has completed 3 public objectives. All right. Now during the first turn, all of the AI players have received their production, so we won't have any production phases for them. We're going to be commencing from Qin and then going in a counterclockwise, which will be Jin, Wu, Qi, and then us. So all of these factions have already received their reinforcements. So we're going to go right to the Chu activation. Now my first thoughts regarding strategy would be, do we want to use our build action and build a shrine in order to gain one of those 4 existing philosophies? So let's check those out real quick. Well, I guess out of the 4 available philosophies, I'd probably be most interested in the Control the Tide and possibly Cosmic Accord. That would be one of the ways that we can get rid of dishonor tokens, is through the use of these philosophies. So the Cosmic Accord could be quite useful. That allows us to spend 3 commerce to discard a dishonor. And there's not that many ways to get rid of dishonor other than through these philosophies. So that's kind of a valuable card. The other one is Control the Tide. That's shamanism. +1 combat strength for the duration of a sea combat. Must be cast before die rolls. So those 2 would be pretty useful, but we'd have to use up our 4th build area in the Chu capital. And that would be, we'd have to construct a shrine. And that wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. Give us the first dibs on those philosophies, and we'd be able to choose the one we want. I think we're going to do that. So I'm going to use my build action, and we're going to build another shrine in Chu. So we'll place the shrine in the 4th settlement, and we're going to place the build cube there. And that's going to allow us to draw one of those philosophies. And that was a tough decision. I decided to go with the Control the Tide. And the other one would have been that Cosmic Accord. We'd have to spend 3 commerce, but it would allow us to get rid of a dishonor token, which are kind of hard to get rid of. Incidentally, you cannot win the game if you have the most dishonor. That disqualifies you. So that probably would have been a good card to take, but I'm taking Control the Tide. The philosophies are automatically refilled when one is purchased, so these are going to slide down, and we will draw the next philosophy, and this one is Feng Shui. Win any victory ties at the end of the game. So what that would do is, if 2 factions had the same qualifiers for a particular objective, you would win the tie. All right, that's going to complete the Chu faction's actions, and now I'm going to go through each of the AI players, and I'll show you any movements that they make. The Qin have taken a supply action in their capital. They've moved a junk into that river section, and 2 infantry have moved into Bao province. The Jin have activated their capital. They've moved a junk into the river section, 2 infantry into Dai province, and we've now drawn 2 world event cards to account for the movement of the Qin and now Jin, and we've advanced the chaos marker 5 points. The Wu faction has supplied their capital. They've moved a junk into that river section and 2 infantry into Zhongli province. The Qi have decided to not use their supply at this time, so we move back to Chu. Now that movement into Zhongli by Wu is kind of concerning. That places a lot of emphasis on that province, the A province. So I'm wondering if we should maybe make a movement into there, and then we could offer a treaty to Wu, and that would pretty much shut them down, at least for the moment. We wouldn't have to worry about their expansion coming towards us. It might be a smart play. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a train action, and we're going to utilize our academy, and we're going to train a hero. So we'll place a hero into the Chu capital. The Qi have elected to activate their capital. They moved a junk into that river section to the north, and they've occupied Yan province with 2 infantry. They've also at the same time offered a treaty to the Jin because they are adjacent to their forces. Jin has received a military treaty from Qi. Qi has received an honor treaty. So during the upkeep phase, Qi is going to receive 1 honor from the supply. In the case of Jin, it says you may roll 1 extra die when combat against this player. All right. And incidentally, on those cards, the treaties, that value at the bottom is the amount of dishonor that you will receive if you are the one responsible for breaking that treaty. Chaos track has advanced 8 spaces due to these movements. All of the AI players have taken their supply actions, so we will be taking all of our actions consecutively. And I think I'm going to begin with a research action. We're going to utilize our palace. That's going to act as an academy. And we're going to use the research token that we gain to do a level 1 advancement. Now, considering our private objectives, we have the cultured private objective. It says research all trade advancements. So that might be consideration for us, is to consider either paper making or trade routes. And I think we're going to select the paper making level 1 advancement. Paper making. Receive the 2nd research cube during upkeep. So that's great. We're going to have an extra research cube then next turn. So we still have our supply action and an honor action. I think we'll take our honor action and we'll utilize our shrine. That's going to earn us 1 honor. So now we have parity with the other factions. Each faction has 1 honor. And finally, we have a supply action we can take, and we are going to have to decide if we want to confront the Wu in A province as a block, or if we want to worry about these provinces on the edge of the map. Now, we do have the frontier personal objective, and that says own 4+ areas on the edge of the map or coast. So I think we have to deal with Wu. We don't want them expanding into our area. So I think we're going to take our supply action. We'll utilize our market. And rather than taking a commerce token, we're going to activate Chu for movement. First step is going to be to move our junks, and we'll put them in this river section here. And we have the choice of having the hero go with the junks or with the ground forces. I think we'll have him go with the ground forces. And we're going to move him and 1 infantry into A. I believe it's pronounced A. It says E, but I think in Chinese that is pronounced A. And that is going to complete the action phase for turn 1. Now we're going to move to our upkeep phase. Incidentally, the chaos track has moved 10 spaces out of 18 to get to the fireball. Now we'll replace our conquest tokens. We have conquered A province. Wu have conquered Zhongli. The Jin have taken Dai province. And the Qi have taken Yan province. And finally, the Qin have control over Bao province. Next, the treaties will enact, and the only one that is going to give a benefit is Qi's treaty with Jin, and that's an honor treaty that will give them 1 honor from the supply during the upkeep, so they have 2 honor now. Now we're going to refresh our philosophies, so the Bottom 2 will be placed in the discard, and we'll slide these down and reveal 2 new ones. We have Ancestors All See and Attune with the Way. Now we would do our victory check, and we would check each of the public objectives and see if any one faction has 3 or more of those that they will qualify for, which would send off the end of game procedure. In this case, we only have potential. Have more empty settlements and mines than every other player individually. In this case, the end game cannot be triggered, so we will reveal another public objective. And this time, we've got productivity. Own more mountain areas than every other player individually. All right. So far, the Jin and Qin have more mountain areas than the others. So we've replenished our player board with our assigned cubes. Now we have paper making, and that's going to unlock an extra cube. Receive the second research cube during upkeep. So we have 2 research cubes now. All right. And that's going to complete turn 1. Turn 1 is complete. We will move on to turn 2. And this is the current position of the Dragon track. Chaos level has moved 10 of 18 to enact a world event. I thought carefully about offering a treaty to Wu, and I decided against it. I'm going to wait and see what they do. If they do choose to attack us, we have the hero in there, so that would give us the yellow hero die for any combat. So I think we're okay in that department. I want to see if they will move into a different area perhaps, and then we can check our expansion from there. For turn 2, the Qi will be the most honorable. They have 2 honor tokens, and we'll be proceeding in a clockwise fashion. So we'll go from Qi to Wu, Jin, Qin, and then Chu. Qi's production phase, they ended up gaining an honor, 1 commerce, 2 advancements, 1 supply, and then they received a cavalry and archer formation in their capital. The Wu production phase consisted of 1 honor, 2 knowledge, 2 advancements, 1 supply, and a unit of infantry and cavalry in their capital. The production for Jin consisted of 1 honor, 1 knowledge, 2 advancements, 1 supply, and 1 unit of cavalry. Qin production consisted of 1 honor, 1 philosophy, which they selected Attune with the Way, 1 advancement, 1 supply, and a unit of infantry and cavalry in their capital. I think the Chu will begin with a research action. We're going to place that on our academy, and we're going to convert that into a advancement, level 1 advancement. This time I'm going to select a military advancement, and we're going to choose iron weapons. That's going to give our infantry in land combat roles 2 infantry combat dice, and that will help to solidify that position in A province in case the Wu become aggressive. The Qi have elected to wait with their supply action. We'll move back to the Chu. And I'm going to elect to take another research action. This time we're going to utilize our palace. And I'm going to elect to use that research for mysticism. That will unlock another cube. Receive the second honor cube during upkeep. All right. The Qin and Jin have decided to hold off on using their supply action. The Wu have elected to use it. They've supplied their capital, and they've moved a cavalry and infantry into the Yue province. The Qi have activated their capital, and they've moved an archer and cavalry into the Cao province. The Chu are up again, and I think we're going to elect to take a build action in A province. I'm going to elect to build a barracks in A province. The Qin have supplied their capital, and they've moved an infantry and cavalry into Bao province. They've reinforced their position in Bao. The world event, Shenlong, has been activated. Each of the factions will bid for the Shenlong card. Place Shenlong on any sea space. Now, I've elected not to bid. Each of the other factions has wagered 2 honor. As the bids are tied, the most honorable player will decide, and Qi is going to elect to purchase Shenlong. The Qi have elected to place Shenlong in the river province to the north of their capital. During the upkeep phase, whoever occupies the sea space with Shenlong may destroy 1 junk on the map. The Jin have elected to save their supply. We move on back to Chu. I'm going to take an honor action, place that on one of our shrines. Since we have 2 active shrines in that area, it's going to earn us 2 honor tokens. The Jin have activated their capital, and they've moved a cavalry into Dai province, reinforcing their position on the border with Yan. We return back to Chu, and I'm going to take a supply action. We're not going to activate any province for movement. I'm going to take a commerce token. All the AI factions have supplied. We have 1 cube left, but I can't use it. It's a training action, and I don't have an available academy or an available barracks. So that will bring the action phase to a close. We'll move on to upkeep. During the conquest portion, Qi has taken control of Cao province, and Wu has conquered Yue. The dragon abilities will enact, and that means that Shenlong and his ability is going to be used by Qi to destroy a junk on the map. That'll be selected randomly. There are no grudges yet. And Shenlong has destroyed the junk opposite of Liang province. So the Qin now have a grudge against Qi, and will mark it accordingly. Treaty cards will trigger, and the Qi will gain 1 honor from their treaty with Jin. Philosophies are refreshed. Battlefield Deceit and Trailblaze. Then we perform our victory check. We only have 2 cards of public objectives, so there can be no victor at this point. And we will draw a 3rd public objective. This time we have Empire. Own more areas that contain 1 or 2 buildings than every other player individually. Now, for purposes of AI with specific objectives, the Empire card and the Potential card, we consider all settlements and mines to be occupied by a building except for 1 settlement or mine in each area. So that's going to greatly enhance their ability to gain those 2 public objectives. So that leaves us with the productivity that says own more mountain areas than every other player individually. So far, the Wu, the Jin, and the Qin each have 1 mountain province. So we'll have to be careful about them possibly fulfilling 3 of those public objectives during the next turn. We refresh our player boards, and we're going to receive our 2nd honor cube and 2nd research cube for mysticism and paper making. Finally, we'll advance the turn track to turn 3. Moving on to turn 3, and we have our most honorable phase, and the Chu have 3 honor tokens. So we will become the first player, and I'm going to select a clockwise turn order. We'll go from Chu to Qi to Wu, Jin, and then Qin. I'm going to begin with a training action, and we're going to utilize our barracks in A province. And we can raise 1 of any type of unit there. I'm going to select a cavalry formation. It's going to give us combined arms, and the cavalry have 2 supply actions per round. During Qi's production phase, they gain 1 honor, 1 commerce, 1 advancement, 1 supply, and 1 formation of cavalry. The Wu, during their production, have gained 1 honor, 1 commerce, 2 philosophies, battlefield deceit and trailblaze, 1 advancement, 1 supply, and 1 formation of archers. During the Jin production, they have gained 1 honor, 1 commerce, 1 advancement, 2 supply, and a units of a junk and cavalry formation. In Qin, they receive 2 honor, 1 advancement, 1 supply, a fortification under construction, in this case in their capital, and 1 unit of infantry. Return back to Chu, and I'm going to elect to take an honor action. We'll place that in one of our shrines, and that will award us a total of 2 honor, moving us up to 5. The Qi have activated their forces in Cao. They have elected to move against the Song province. And they have elected to attack Song with their cavalry formation. Song province is defended by the Zhao kingdom token. We'll see what that says. And that is revealed to be a treaty. So the Zhao have entered into an alliance with Qi. Kingdom token is removed, and Qi automatically obtains control of the Song province, and that is worth 3 settlements. The Wu, Jin, and Qin factions have elected to not use their supply, so we are back to the Chu. And I'm going to elect to do a research action utilizing our academy. And I'm going to elect to convert that research token into a level 1 advancement, and I'm going to take tactics. Cavalry in land combat, roll 2 cavalry combat dice. The Qin have elected to take their supply action. They have activated Bao province, and they have moved a cavalry and 2 infantry into Jun province. We return back to the Chu. Now, Wu has not taken its supply action yet, so those forces can still move. We'll have to be careful. I think what we'll do is I'm going to take an honor action utilizing our available shrine, and that will earn us another honor token, moving us up to 6. The Wu have elected to take their supply action in Yue, and they've moved a cavalry formation into Yang province. Jin has taken the first of their 2 supply actions. They've elected to activate Dai province, and they've moved a cavalry and infantry back into their capital of Jin. I'm going to elect to take a supply action utilizing our market, and we are going to supply the A province. We'll begin by activating our junks. I'm going to move that one into this river section. Then I'm going to move a cavalry and a hero into Chen province. So we're going to attack the imperial province of Chen, and we'll see what the kingdom token says. That is a dishonor token. So the token is removed, and we have to gain a random dishonor token, and we'll see what the value on that is. That's worth 2 dishonor. That is going to be a problem for us. One of our private objectives is elitists have less total dishonor tokens than every other player individually. So we'll have to find a way to get rid of that. The Jin have elected to use their last supply token, and they're going to activate their capital of Jin. Junk will move into that river section, and 2 cavalry are going to move into Dai province. We have a build action and a research action available to Chu. And build action will not be able to be used. We don't have any settlements that we can build on at this time. But I will use the research action utilizing our palace. And I'm going to convert that research token into a level 1 advancement, and we're going to take engineering. It will unlock our second build cube during upkeep. And that will bring the action phase to a close. Move on to upkeep. We begin the upkeep phase with the dragons activating. That means that Shenlong, being occupied by a Qi junk, is going to activate. And he's going to be able to destroy 1 junk on the map. And he's elected to destroy one of the junks from Jin. Jin is now going to gain a grudge against Qi. During the conquest step, we have Qin taking control of Jun province, Chu taking control of Chen, and finally Wu taking control of Ying province. Now the treaties are enforced. The Qi will gain an honor token courtesy of Jin. At this time, treaties can be broken without any penalty in dishonor tokens. And I believe the Jin are now going to break that treaty. They had a military treaty with Qi, but following their attack using Shenlong, they're going to break that treaty at no cost. Our philosophy cards are now refreshed. And we have old rights and reinvention. Now we're going to analyze to see if any single faction has met 3 public objectives. If they have, the endgame sequence will be enacted. So far, with the Empire public objective, both Wu and Qi qualify. For productivity, we have a tie. Wu and Qin both have 2 mountain provinces, so they do not own more mountain areas than every other player individually. So we will not have an endgame sequence at this point. I'm going to mark these though just to see the progress so far. Finally, we have potential. Have more empty settlements and mines than every other player individually. And so far, Qi would qualify for that potential public objective. So if they are able to solve the productivity public objective, having more mountain areas than every other player individually, they will set off the endgame scenario, but not at this time. So in this case, we will draw another public objective, and this time it is ascendancy. Own the Zhao area and have your palace located there. That's a tough one. So we've replenished our player board, and we get our unlocked engineering, which will give us an extra build cube. We've unlocked mysticism, giving us a second honor cube, and paper making, giving us a second research cube. And we're ready for the next round. The turn marker is advanced to turn 4. The chaos marker is within 3 of the fireball. So we're having actually a very exciting and close match. Each of the factions has their own advantages at this point. Chu is doing very well in research, but we have that dishonor token, and that is going to be a problem for us, I believe. All right, we're ready to begin turn 4. And as it stands now, I'm mostly concerned about the Qi faction. They're getting close to being able to have 3 of the public objectives solved. And at this point, I have not solved any of my private objectives, so we're not going to be doing too good if it goes to an endgame. So we have to find a way to try to oppose both Qi and Wu. Now, unfortunately, I don't have very much in the way of military forces. So we're going to have to build up our military and hope that they don't solve any of 3 or more of those public objectives and get us into an endgame sequence. Once again, I'm going to possess the most honorable token. I have 6 honor. The next closest is Qi with 5. So we'll be having the first action of the round. And I'm going to select a counterclockwise turn order. That will be Chu, Qi, Jin, Wu, and then Qi. And I'm going to begin my first action with a training action, and we're going to use the barracks that we have in A province. And we're going to produce a cavalry formation. Next up is the Qin faction, and this will be their production phase. We'll be using the turn 4 side of the card now. They're going to receive 2 honor, 1 commerce, 1 philosophy, 1 advancement, 3 supply, and a junk and archer. So the Qin have reinforced, and they've selected become 1. Take ownership of an empty, neutral, adjacent area. It's Confucianism. And I think they're going to utilize that philosophy immediately. They're going to spend 1 honor to activate Become 1, and they will take control of an empty, neutral, adjacent area. And we'll mark them with a control flag, and they're going to take control of probably the Deng province. That's going to give them a mine and a settlement. During Jin's production, they received 2 honor, 1 philosophy, 2 advancements, 2 supply, 1 fortification, and a cavalry, infantry, and archer. They've selected yin and yang for their philosophy, and they've built the fortification in their capital that is under construction. Interesting to note, they have reached advancement level 6, which is going to unlock many of the military advantages, tactics, and iron weapons. The Wu are up next. They're going to gain 2 honor, 2 advancements, 2 supply, 1 hero, 2 fortifications, and infantry and archers. The Wu have placed fortifications under construction in Longli and in Wu, the capital. They've also reached advancement level 6, unlocking those specialties for them. The Qi will receive 2 honor, 1 commerce, 1 advancement, 2 supply, a hero, a fortification, and an infantry and archer. Now their advancement level is at 5 right now. Chu are up next. I'm going to take the first of 2 research actions. I'm going to place that on my academy. And we're going to take a research action in naval. And I'm going to take combat junks. Junks in sea or land combat, roll 2 junk combat dice. All right. The Qin have taken the first of 3 supply actions, and they've moved a force of archers and infantry from Qin into Bao province. The Jin and Wu have decided to wait on their supply action. The Qi will take theirs. They've activated their capital Qi, and they've moved in a large force into Cao province. They're moving south. Now we have some tough decision making to do. We have limited military forces, and I'm wondering if we should strike at Wu before that fortification has been completed. We could use our forces in A to attack Zhongli. They do have a force in Ying which could move in, so we have only one supply action though. So I'm going to have to think about this. I think I'm going to use a build action to start out with, and we're going to construct a market in Chen province. Market is going to give us a second supply action during the next turn. So that's under construction right now. Now for the time being, the chaos marker is still 3 positions from the fireball. We have 2 silence cards in a row. Now Jin is going to activate, and they're going to activate their entire force in the capital, and they're going to move that south against the imperial province of Zhao. And we'll see what happens in the imperial province. First token is kingdom token is revealed to be destroy a unit of the active player's choice unless the player has a cavalry on the area, which he does. If the active player has a unit remaining, discard the token. Otherwise, take 1 dishonor as you have lost the combat. All right, so they have successfully battled through this first kingdom token. We'll go on to the second one. This one is a truce. The kingdom enters an alliance with the active player immediately. Place an ownership marker on the area and discard all other kingdom tokens on this area. So they have taken the imperial capital. And so we will mark that accordingly. And Jin is now in a very formidable position. Wu has taken one of their 2 supply actions. They've activated their capital, and they've moved a force of a hero, archer, 2 archers, and an infantry into Zhu province. They're moving north. The Qi have decided to wait on their supply action that puts the Chu up next. And we're really getting kind of hit from all sides here. We're going to have to come up with a plan. And I think we're going to use our second build action, and I'm going to build a barracks in Chen province. So we'll place a barracks with a build cube in Chen. The Jin have used their final supply action, and they've activated their forces in Zhao. And they've moved an archer, cavalry, and infantry into the Kai province. So we'll examine that kingdom token and see what it says. And we have dishonor. All right, so they're going to take a dishonor token. So we've given them a dishonor token. We don't examine what the value is on the back. That will complete the Jin's supply actions. Move on to Wu. The Wu have elected to take their last supply action, and they're going to supply the Zhu province. And they're going to move all of their forces, with the exception of 1 archer, into Zhongli province. And they are constructing a sizable force in Zhongli, which is not good for the Chu. The Qi will use their final supply action. They're going to activate Cao province, and they're going to reinforce Song province. So they have a sizable force in Song province. The Chu are up next, and we're getting sandwiched in here, particularly in and around Chen province. That could be a problem for us. So I think we're going to use a research action utilizing our palace. And we're going to spend that research for an advancement. And I'm going to gain the advancement discipline, a military advancement, and that will unlock another train action. And it says resolve the second train cube during upkeep. All right. The Qin have elected to supply the Jun province, and they're going to launch an attack on the Zhao capital that was recently taken by Jin. Their attack will consist of a cavalry and an infantry. And we're going to see our first combat here. Now the attacking Qin forces are only at an advancement level of 4. So they will not qualify for any bonuses from tactics or iron weapons. However, the Jin possess level 6, advancement 6. And that's going to give them iron weapons, and their infantry are going to be rolling 2 dice. We'll begin by building the attacker's pool. He is going to have 1 infantry die, 1 cavalry die, and an extra infantry die for combined arms. And we'll make that roll and discover which is the highest value. And his highest die roll is a 5. So we're going to mark him with a 5 for his combat ability, and then we're going to determine what the combat ability of the defender is. Now he has iron weapons, so he'll be rolling 2 dice for his infantry unit. Here's the roll. His highest roll is a 5. So both sides have scored a 5 on their combat rolls. As we have a tie, each side will select an enemy unit to be destroyed in the combat. We have no choice but to select the infantry. They're going to take the cavalry unit, and the Qin have occupied Zhao province. Now that attack by the Qin into Zhao province, owned by Jin, is going to set off a world event, and we have creative explosion. That reads, receive any construction advancement for free. Any prerequisites must be satisfied. All right. Both the Chu and the Qi have wagered 4 honor for that card. The Qin have wagered 2, and Wu has wagered 2. As I have the most honorable token, I will elect that we will win the card. And that creative explosion card will allow us to receive any construction advancement for free. Any prerequisites must be satisfied. So in the construction department, we're going to take, we have 1 in the first level, so we could take a level 2 if we choose. And I think we're going to select McGonagall. Enemy fortifications do not provide +1 defense bonus. The Jin and Wu factions have used their supply actions. So has Qi. So the Chu will take the next action. We have 2 honor actions and a supply action remaining. And I'm going to take an honor action in the capital. That will earn us 2 honor tokens, moving us up to 8. The Qin have elected to activate Bao province, and they're going to move in an infantry and an archer into Jun province. All of the AI players have taken their supply actions, so Chu will have 2 actions remaining, an honor action and a supply action. We're going to take our honor action, we'll place that on one of our temples or shrines, and that will award us 1 honor. That moves us to 5 honor. Finally, we have a supply action available. And I think rather than moving, I'm going to use that supply action to generate a commerce token. And we'll gain our second commerce token. 3 commerce tokens allow us to take an action for free without having to utilize a building. So they're very valuable. And that completes the action phase. We'll move to upkeep. All right, we move to the upkeep phase. We'll begin with dragon abilities. We have Shenlong being controlled by the Qi. The Qi do not have a grudge against anyone at this point, so they're going to randomly determine which junk will be destroyed. And they have elected to destroy the Jin junk, opposite of the provincial capital. That is going to place a grudge. Jin will now have a grudge against Qi. The Wu will take control of Zhu province. The Jin have taken control of both Kai and the Zhao province will now be controlled by Qin. The action cubes are now retrieved, and we've got some new fortifications now that are active on the board. Philosophies will be cycled. New philosophies are centralized state and expand the empire. Now we are going to do our victory check, and we'll see if one of the factions completes 3 or more of the public objectives, setting off the victory phase. The Qin have completed productivity. They own more mountain areas than every other player individually. They have 3 presently. For potential, neither Qin or the Qi can achieve potential. They both have 4, and it says have more empty settlements and mines than every other. So neither of them will qualify, but we'll mark them. Next is Empire, own more areas that contain 1 or 2 buildings than every other player individually. The Qin have the Empire public objective, own more areas that contain 1 or 2 buildings than every other player individually. So all that remains is ascendancy. Own the Zhao area and have your palace located there. All right, so we're going to have another round, and we're going to move our turn marker to turn 5. And we're getting close to an endgame situation. The Qin have expanded rapidly. And finally, we've updated our player board, and we're going to be gaining extra actions for our extra build for engineering, extra honor action for mysticism, extra research for paper making, and we're also going to gain a second train cube that we can use during the upkeep phase. So that will be limited to just the upkeep phase. We also have 2 supply because we currently have 2 markets. We move on to turn 5, and we'll start with our most honorable phase. In this case, it is going to be the Qi, and they're going to select a clockwise manner. Qi, Wu, Jin, Qin, and Chu. The Qi production consists of 2 honor, 1 knowledge, of philosophy, which is determined to be expand the empire, 1 advancement, 2 supply, a hero, and a junk, infantry, and archer. The Wu production consists of 5 honor, 1 advancement, 2 supply, a hero, and an archer and infantry. Jin production consists of 2 honor, 1 knowledge, 1 philosophy, which they've chosen bring the reins, 2 advancements, moving them up to advancement level 8, that is the highest, 2 supply, and a unit of infantry and archers. Qin production consists of 2 honor, 1 knowledge, 1 philosophy, they've selected deified leader, 2 advancements, moving them up to level 6, 2 supply, and a unit of infantry and archer. They've also subsequently moved their palace to Zhao province. That's a part of the ascendancy public objective. It is currently under construction. So there can be little doubt that our major opponent right now is going to be the Qin. We have to find a way to stop them from being able to complete 3 of those public objectives. We haven't completed any of our privates, so we will probably not be able to qualify for the Emperor. And not only we're carrying 2 dishonor. I'm going to begin by doing a training action in our capital. I'll utilize our palace, and we're going to construct a unit of infantry. And we'll place that in Chu. The Qi have taken their supply action, activating their forces in Song province, and they've relocated them to Cao province. The Wu will take their supply action in Zhongli province. They'll activate those forces, and they're going to reinforce their position in Ying. All of those forces are now going to have moved. The Qin will take a supply action. They're also going to use one of their philosophies, and that is become one. Take ownership of an empty, neutral, adjacent area. And they are going to elect to take control of the Yong province. They've activated Jun province, and they're going to move an archer and an infantry into Zhao. And those forces will be tipped to show that they have used their supply actions. The Chu are up next. I'm going to use a build action, and I'm going to construct a fortification in Chen province. And we'll place a fortification under construction in Chen. The Qi have taken their final supply action. You will activate their junk and move that into that river section. Their forces are activated, and they are going to move and reinforce Yan province. And we'll tip them to show that they have made their move. The Jin will take the first of 2 supply actions, and they're going to launch an attack on Zhao. And we're going to have a battle. All right, the Jin are attacking the Qin in Zhao province. Both sides have level 6 advancements, so they will gain iron weapons and tactics. We'll begin with the archery phase. Qin have 1 archer, so they will be using their archery die. And they have a success, and that will take out 1 enemy formation before the melee. And they're going to choose to take the cavalry unit. That changes the complexion of the battle quite a bit. The attacking Jin will be rolling 2 infantry dice as they have iron weapons. Their highest result is a 5. And we'll mark the attacking force with a value of 5. Now the defenders will roll. They're going to gain an extra infantry die because they have iron weapons. So they will also be rolling 2 infantry dice. Their highest roll is a 4. That means that the Jin have won the battle. And they will select 1 unit to be destroyed, and they will select the archery unit. We'll begin a second round of combat. The Jin will be attacking with iron weapons, 2 dice. Their highest roll is a 4. The Qin will also defend with 2 dice. They've rolled a 6, So they're successful, and they have successfully destroyed the Jin attack and saved the imperial capital. The Jin, having lost the battle, will gain a dishonor token. And that is going to be their second dishonor token. We don't know the value yet. The Chu are up next, and we're going to take an honor action. It's going to give us 2 honor. The Qin have taken their final supply action, and they're going to reinforce Jun province. And those forces will be at maximum supply. Chu are up next. We're going to take a supply action utilizing our market, and we're going to activate the Chu capital. And we're going to move this infantry into Deng province. And that is going to create a grudge with Qin. The Wu have elected to supply their capital, and they're going to move that entire force into Zhongli province. And they are at supply maximum. The Chu are the only faction with actions remaining. We're going to begin with a research action, and we'll use our academy, and we're going to produce 1 knowledge token. Next, we're going to take an honor action using our second shrine, and that will earn us an extra honor token. We're up to 8. We have a research action, a train action, which can be used during the upkeep phase. We have a build action and a supply action remaining. However, the research and build actions will not be able to be used. We don't have any buildable settlements under our control. And the research action, we don't have any academies or a palace. I'm going to take a supply action using our market in Chen, and we're going to gain our 3rd commerce token. And that's going to bring the action phase to a close. We'll go to upkeep. So we'll begin our upkeep phase with dragon abilities triggering. That means that the Shenlong, controlled by the Qi, is going to take out a junk. And this time he's elected to take out Chu's junk. We'll move on to conquest, and we've taken the Deng province from the Qin. Next, we're going to retrieve all of our tokens and cubes. Then our philosophies will be refreshed. Art of War and Yellow Emperor. And finally, we're going to do our victory check. The Qin have achieved ascendancy. They own the Zhao area and have a palace constructed there. They've also achieved productivity. They own more mountain areas than every other player individually. They have not achieved potential. Both the Qi and Qin are tied, so neither of them will gain that. However, they have achieved, the Qin have achieved empire. We have 3 public objectives are now in play, and we're going to do our final scoring, and this is going to end the game. First step is we have to see who is going to be disqualified due to the most dishonor. Currently, we have 2 dishonor tokens. The only other faction with dishonor is the Jin. They have 2 tokens, and we don't know the value yet. We have a total of 2. So we'll flip these over and see what the Jin have. They have a 2, and they have a 0. So we're both tied at 2 for dishonor. So in that case, both Chu and Jin are disqualified, and will remove their palaces from the computations. Now the remaining factions are going to analyze the private objectives for Qin Qi, and Wu. And we will determine who is the next emperor of China. And after analyzing all of the private objectives for the AI players, we find out that each of them, with the exception of Wu having frontier, will qualify for those. No one qualified for educated because the Jin were eliminated due to dishonor. So the next emperor of China is Qin, the purple player. He had 3 public objectives, and he qualified for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the privates. So Qin has become the next emperor of China. And that's going to bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of Spring and Autumn, the story of China. I think it's a fantastic game. The AI works extremely well, and it's very rewarding. It has a great theme and immersion to it. And I'm hoping to get a little bit better as I continue my playthroughs. So this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club, thanking everyone for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next time at the channel.